Something really strange is happening in the British housing market. For months, it felt like the story was always the same, right? Not enough homes, buyers everywhere, prices just shooting up. But now, the latest data, it's painting a completely different picture, one that honestly nobody saw coming. So let's dive in and unpack what's really going on here.
And this right here, this is the core of the mystery we're going to get into. I mean, we are seeing an absolute flood of properties hitting the market, but at the exact same time, it's like all the sales have just ground to a halt. The buyers, the ones who are supposedly desperate to get a foot on the ladder, well, they've seemingly vanished into thin air. It's a huge disconnect, and frankly, it could be a signal of something much bigger, something kind of unsettling about where the UK economy is actually headed.
All right, so in this explainer, we're basically going to play detective. We're going to investigate this massive puzzle. We'll look at why so many homes are suddenly up for sale, figure out where on earth the buyers went, and then, most importantly, talk about what this all means for you, whether you're a homeowner, a renter, or maybe you're trying to buy right now. And when I say the numbers are big, I mean they are genuinely jaw-dropping. Just look at this. Across England and Wales, real estate agents are reporting that the number of properties for sale has jumped by over 30% compared to this time last year. Now, this isn't some small statistical blip. This is a massive, fundamental shift in how the market is working. What's just so striking is how fast this whole thing has flipped on its head. I mean, think back just a year ago. It was absolute chaos for buyers. Bidding wars, houses gone in a weekend. And now, properties that would have been snapped up instantly are just sitting there for weeks, sometimes even months. You've got sellers getting really nervous, and the buyers, well, they've all but disappeared. Okay, so let's tackle the first half of this mystery. What's behind this sudden surge in supply? Where are all these homes coming from? Well, it's not just one thing. It's more like a perfect storm of different factors all pushing people to sell at the same time. And this chart really just shows you how dramatic this increase is, especially in the big cities. Take Manchester. Available homes have surged by a staggering 42%. Birmingham is up 38%. And even London, a city where supply has been ridiculously tight for decades, listings are up 27% from last year. These are huge numbers. So we can actually trace this flood of supply back to three main groups. First up, you've got landlords. A lot of them are getting out of the game because of tax changes and rising costs. Second, you have homeowners who've seen their property values climb and are now thinking, this is it, this is the peak, it's time to cash out before things turn. And then third, you have developers who are just now finishing up projects they started back when the market was red hot, only to find the buyers aren't there anymore. And this quote really nails the psychology of what's happening. There's this growing sense that the window of opportunity to sell high is closing fast. And that creates this self-reinforcing cycle, right? The more people who list their homes because they're afraid of a crash, the more it spooks other people into doing the same thing. It just keeps pushing more and more supply onto a market that simply can't handle it. All right, let's switch gears and look at the other half of the puzzle. We've got all this supply, but where are the buyers? It's not that people suddenly don't want to own homes. Of course they do. It's that they either can't afford them anymore or they're just plain too scared to make such a huge commitment right now. This slide really lays out the brutal reality of the situation. We're talking about mortgage rates that have more than doubled in just a couple of years. So think about it. A family that could have comfortably afforded a £400,000 home back in 2021 might only get approved for a £300,000 property today. For a huge chunk of would-be buyers, the math just doesn't add up anymore. And it's not just about affordability. There's a lot of real fear out there. People are seeing news about redundancies. They're feeling less secure in their jobs. On top of that, lenders have gotten way stricter, demanding these huge deposits, 15, 20%, or even more. And all this creates what you could call a doom loop. Buyers get cautious, which makes the market weaker, which then makes even more buyers cautious. It just feeds on itself. So now that we've kind of pieced together the what and why, let's talk about the so what. because the consequences of this standoff between sellers and buyers, they ripple out way beyond just the housing market. This could actually impact the entire UK economy.
And one of the biggest threats on the horizon is something people are calling the mortgage time bomb. Basically, you have hundreds of thousands of homeowners whose cheap, ultra-low fixed-rate deals are coming to an end. They're about to face a massive payment shock when they have to remortgage at today's much higher rates. That's going to suck a lot of money out of the economy, reduce consumer spending, and could be the very thing that tips the country into a recession.
And this whole situation puts the government in a completely impossible political bind. I mean, think about it. If they step in to prop up prices, they're going to infuriate an entire generation of younger voters who are already locked out of the market. But if they let prices fall to make things more affordable, they're going to terrify millions of existing homeowners who are watching their biggest asset shrink in value. There's just no easy win here. And if we look overseas for clues, the warning signs are flashing bright red. Other countries that had similar housing booms during the pandemic are already seeing some pretty sharp price drops. Markets like Canada and New Zealand, which tend to be about 6 to 12 months ahead of the UK cycle, well, they could be showing us what's coming down the pike for British property. And it's not pretty. So it really seems like the era of easy money and guaranteed price rises is over. This probably isn't just a temporary blip. It feels like a fundamental shift in the market that's going to require everyone, buyers, sellers, everyone, to adjust their expectations and their strategies. So for anyone who's actually still trying to buy in this market, the key takeaway is this: the power has completely swung from the sellers to you, the buyer. The new playbook is all about patience. Properties are sitting on the market longer, which means you have leverage to negotiate. You can push for a better price, and you have the time to do all your homework without being rushed into a decision.
But maybe the biggest change of all is psychological. For something like 20 years, buying a property in the UK has been seen as a one-way bet, a guaranteed ticket to building wealth. That deep-seated certainty is, well, it's evaporating, and it's forcing a massive national rethink about our whole relationship with housing. And all of this leaves us with one massive, lingering question. As the market twists and turns, and millions of people find themselves either trapped in homes they can't afford or locked out completely, we have to ask, is this the end of an era? Is the UK's decades-long love affair with property finally coming to an end? Is that core belief that property prices only ever go up finally being shattered for good? Well, only time will tell.